next best of 5 that's coming up is probably the most important match that we have to play.
Our main goal right now just to stay in the LCS.
The Super Hot Crew being picked off one by one here. Impaler will be the next one.
I feel they play similar to us and we know their weaknesses.
That might cost Millennium. They are going to be losing men left and right. KottenX is going to struggle. That's a good kick, but it only prolongs the inevitable.
I don't feel like we're going to go to relegations. I'm confident that we'll stay in LCS.
If we manage to win versus Super Hot Crew at Gamescom, our LCS spot will be secure for the next split.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the European League of Legends Championship Series Summer Playoffs, coming to you live from Gamescom in Cologne, Germany. I am Lee D-Man Smith, and alongside me is Marcin Deficio Lunger once again as we get the D-Man Deficio show underway. So it is a time for the all-important best of 5. It is between the Super Hot Crew and Millennium.
Yeah, not only will today's match determine the 5th place team in the European LCS, but also finalize who will fall to 6th place and have to defend the LCS spot against the European Challenger Series team in the Spring Promotion Tournament.
Yeah, it's a big, big one, that's for sure. Of course, these teams, they played each other 4 times throughout the summer split, drawing 2-2 overall. The Super Hot Crew, well, they played Roccat in the quarterfinals and never really got going. They were 2-0 down before they knew what the hell had hit them. They managed to pick up game 3, of course, after a long back and forth, but they got destroyed again in game 4, the final match, which knocked them out 3-1.
Yeah, 100% agree. They got destroyed by Roccat and their fast-pushing strategy, which Roccat used against them, where Yangas, he would put a lot of focus on like early pressure, getting down towers early on whenever they had a winning lane from Rockat's side. And Super Hot Crew never really knew what to do against it. One of the reasons was Impaler. He played Rengar in 3 out of 4 games, and on Rengar, early on, you cannot put in the same pressure as at Elise. You can't help defending towers either, so there's nothing they could do actually in return to stop the push here. So in my opinion, Super Hot Crew failed to adapt to the strategy Roccat used against them, and while we normally see Super Hot Crew do well in these games here, we normally see them do well with pick comps, it didn't work out for them except for one game. 3rd game of the series, they got MrRalleZ rolling on Twitch and he did well. They won the game. Sure, it took them 67 minutes though to actually win the game here. And just talking about MrRalleZ and kaSing, the bottom lane from Super Hot Crew, I wasn't impressed by them in their best out of 5 against Roccat because they fell behind to Rockat's dual lane every single game. On average, they were behind 20 CS at 20 minutes. Every game, that's not good enough.
It's not good enough, and that's why they're in this matchup. Of course, on the other hand, Millennium, they face SK Gaming, who look to be continuing their dominance from the Super Week, while Millennium, well, they simply didn't seem to turn up, which resulted in a straightforward 3-0 defeat.
Yeah, and they were just completely outclassed by SK Gaming in picks and bans. The whole series, they did not look like a coordinated team at all. They were picked apart, and they're the ones who normally run these pick comps. It just didn't work for them at all. And I feel like Millennium as a team, they never really outsmart the enemy team. We don't see them like bait them into a bad situation where they then take a Dragon or Baron for it. They always have to get kills in order to get objectives and gold. And we saw just from the graphic here. Millennium has taken 4 Barons in all their losses in the LCS. Only 4 Barons. So they never really come back. Once they fall behind, they stay behind because they can't pick up the kills. And Millennium is a great best out of 1 team because they can often surprise people. I wouldn't even be surprised to see them win the first game here because they can snowball it. Kerp, especially in the mid lane on Assassins, can snowball it. But in a best out of 5, where teams can prepare against them, they just seem a lot weaker.
Well, let's see how it works out, ladies and gentlemen. So let's check out the lineups for both of these teams. Starting out in the top lane. For the Super Hot Crew, Mimer has played solidly throughout the season, but honestly, he struggled to find his feet against Roccat, while Kevin, well, he looked lost in his champion picks. Let's see if either of these team players have picked something new, because Aatrox, it just didn't seem to work for Kevin this time around.
No, not at all. And Mimer as well had issues. 2 top lane bans against him. He was playing Renekton and he was playing Caleb in the top lane and just never worked for him.
Stuck in 4.12.
Yeah, seems like it. In the jungle though, we have Impaler and KottenX, and both of them actually had the most depth on their teams in the quarterfinal. But that was because they were often engaged in these respective pick comps, which didn't work for either of the teams, so they just ended up running in and die pretty much. Impaler, in my opinion, was a bit too passive, and KottenX, he was a bit over-aggressive. So I'm really looking forward to see if they have sorted their mistakes and the issues they had in the quarterfinals.
Well, in the mid lane, we do have have two very explosive players that simply had little to no impact in their quarterfinals. However, both SELFIE and Kerp, they have it in them to pull off some amazing plays.
100% agree, and both teams really need them to perform if they want to win some games here. But in the AD carry role, we have MrRalleZ and we have Creaton, of course. Both AD carries have had great stats throughout the regular season here in the LCS. But only the Twitch pick from MrRalleZ actually worked in the quarterfinals and only worked in one of the games. And he's back on your screen. Creaton, however, he was just struggling in terms of champion choice in the first few games. He picked Lucian and Cork in game 1 and 2, but completely failed to have an impact in the mid game, which simply meant Candy Panda just outshined him.
Well, finally, of course, on support, we have kaSing and Jree. Well, kaSing is fairly new to the role of support. Of course, he's managed to make his mark on the Super Hot Crew fans already. Meanwhile, Jree, well, he was in this exact same position last year. We'll have to see if that experience in the pressure matches works out for him.
It could definitely be important here for Millennium, because they have more players than just Jree. Creaton, of course, played as well. Kerp was a top laner.
And Mimer, for you.
Mimer, for my team, yes, was also in the match. So we have some players who've tried it before. And going into this game, compared to going into like a quarterfinal or semifinal, you are a lot more nervous now. Because you know if you lose, you drop down to relegation. We have just seen the challenger teams play here last week, and they look damn strong. So you don't want to risk facing them and potentially lose your spot in the LCS.
Well, absolutely. So with the summer split worth of games behind them, Super Hot Crew Millennium feel that they know what to expect from their opponents.
I think Super Hot Crew is kind of focused on their mid lane and the bot lane. Those are like the key parts of the team that carry the game usually. The top lane is just very predictable in his 3 champion choices.
I'm not a huge fan of Mimer. I don't like his champion pool. I think he's really based on 1 or 2 champions only.
The jungle is kind of playing too much Rengar and kaSing in my eyes, and it doesn't really benefit them.
They prioritize a lot of the same champions as us. So like, KottenX likes Rengar and I like Rengar, and I think I'm a better Rengar than him. So if we're both going for the same champion, then I'm more confident playing it and I'm more confident playing against it.
Overall, the team, I think, has his goods and his bads like we do. But for them it's even worse because they have a player that is depending on that. If something really bad happens right now, he will get demotivated. If something really good happens, he gets hyped. So I think that's the weak point about them right now.
I think the games against Super Hot Crew will be really broad. I can't predict the results at all. Okay, anything can happen pretty much.
I think versus SHC we will know what to do. Like I think we are a stronger team than SHC.
I don't feel like we're going to go to relegation stuff, so I'm confident that we'll stay in LCS for next split.
So both teams very confident in their own abilities, but they also seem to be questioning one another as well.
Yeah.
So claiming they're better Rengars. Well, honestly, neither are you any good.
Well, agree. If we look at if we compare it to
they
like
go too deep
the
on
Korean
Rengar.
ones, yeah, I know they do really like to be very aggressive on it. But I also like the fact Kevin is like, yeah, you know, I don't really like Mimer. His champion pool only plays 2 champions. It's what we saw in the quarterfinals. Ban Mundo, ban Maokai, and he had nothing left to play. Yeah,
it was a problem, So let's see how it works out, occasionally. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for you guys to weigh in on Twitter. Tweet us at LOL Esports with hashtag SHC win for the Super Hot Crew or MIL win for Millennium, and let us know who you think will take this series. So, pick and bans. Big, important phase. We just saw it in the last matchup, how big it can be. Legacy let some important champions sneak through Dark Passage, punish them to go to Worlds. Of course, this is basically staying in the LCS for next season. What do we think is going to be a biggie? I'm almost certain we're not going to see Maokai.
Very high chance, at least, he's going to be banned.
Kassadin is an interesting one, though, because that's a champion Millennium. Well, they say they don't play, but then they pulled it out in the Super Week.
Didn't work, lost the game. When Super Hot Crew was playing Kassadin, they tend to lose the games as well. So we have this champion here people normally ban, but both teams actually don't really play too well with the Kassadin. So I'm not sure if he's going to be banned. And also keep hearing from all these European top laners how Maokai is very strong, but he's a bit overrated. You have so many counters apparently. They don't want to say what the counters are, but they're like, oh, I have like 5 counters.
We don't see many work.
No, I have like five counters ready. Don't worry, we will leave it open. I will destroy it. And
interested to check the stats on that one. I'm pretty sure in Europe, Swain's the only one that's actually worked as a counter and won the game.
And he also got 2 kills at level 1, so he got a pretty good start in the game. But yes,
he did.
That one did work. I expect to see something like Nidalee against Maokai, and you just focus on split pushing and never really team fight. But I'm not sure if either Kevin or Mimer plays Nidalee, because in this champ select, back to quarterfinals again, we talked about how both teams lost, well, at least made it very hard for them to win because they had worse champ selects than both Rocket and SK Gaming in both the games, or for both teams. We had like Mimer, who didn't play Maokai a single time, he was banned twice, which meant also SK Gaming just got all the picks they wanted. So they have a lot of things they have to adjust to.
So I want to lean on your experience. You played in this exact matchup last year. It was alternate versus Ninjas in Pajamas. You were obviously on the losing side, you know? What is it like? I just had to pull that in.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, like as you just mentioned, this is a high-pressure game because you know if you lose this matchup, this best of 5, then chances are your career is on the line.
Exactly, and that's the worst. It's also why relegation is so hard to play, because it's not just going in and saying, okay, if we win now, awesome, we have a chance of going to Worlds. But if we lose, well, okay, so we end like number 4, we end let's say number 4, and sure, we didn't go to Worlds, we still have a spot in the LCS. That's a big deal. It's very hard as well to lose out on a spot to Worlds here. But the fact that you might end up actually losing your entire job, your career, potentially your team is going to split up, whatever it's going to happen if you don't re-qualify for the LCS, is just so scary. And a lot of players, especially the younger ones, when they go into relegation games, when they go into these matches where you play for your job, it's very hard to just relax and focus on what's going to happen. We've seen it in multiple teams also in relegation where they underperform. I mean, again, NIP is a perfect example of a great lineup when they play online, but as soon as they go to the offline stage, they just can't perform because suddenly there's nerves, suddenly you have the crowd, and it's not the same.
Well, that's it. I mean, these guys, they've obviously played the stage all season long. Both of them played both spring and summer season. They played in London, so they played in front of big crowds, but now that they're in a lot of pressure in front of a big crowd, and I hope you guys are a little bit noisy for them because there is some big players that come out of these guys. We've seen Kerp and SELFIE certainly pulling off some incredible moves in the past, but I want to talk about the AD carries. I want to look towards this bottom lane pairing because we saw last week between these two AD carries, their pulls seem a little limited.
Yeah, it was actually pretty strange because you had over a week now to prepare for the quarterfinals, and we have seen especially hyper carries become extremely strong, and we see pretty much every single game now where people pick hyper carries and make sure to just like get past the mid game point and into late game and pick like comms build around protecting the hyper carries. Yet we saw Creaton play Lucian Corki twice the first 2 games. It is not bad to play because if you can win in the mid game, it's just fine. But it puts a lot of pressure on your team because you have to win the mid game, and Millennium didn't manage to do it. They fell behind in pretty much every single game. And instead of them picking up an hyper carry themselves and trying to just get to the late game point, they just end up losing the games. And MrRalleZ as well. 2 times Twitch, 2 times Tristana. I like the Tristana pick. I like the Twitch as well, if you can win the mid game. Tristana, of course, is a hyper carry for him, so that was a strong pick. They just didn't deny anything from Rocket, which was a big issue as well.
So based on 4.13, obviously we saw all the quarterfinals on it, and of course today, the last 2 days, for the international wildcard. What are we counted as right now? Tristana seems to be the highest ranked at the moment in AD carries.
Yeah, at least one of them.
Do we see either Creaton or MrRalleZ playing it?
I definitely think MrRalleZ is going to play it. Also played it before, played it in quarterfinal a bit as well. So I would actually expect it to be one of his main picks, if not the main pick in this game here. Also in the mid lane, if we just talk about them real quick, Orianna was banned in every single game by Millennium. Kerp clearly does not play this champion, and it's one of the #1 champions overall. You can blind pick her, and they don't seem to do it.
Well, pick and bans underway. Aurelia taken out there along with Yasuo, taken away from SELFIE, of course, a big champion for him, but it can be hit and miss. Has sometimes put himself into those dangerous situations.
Yeah, and remember how Kerp said in the pre-game he expects Super Hawk to target him in the mid lane and towards the bottom lane? Well, first ban was Aurelia against Kevin. Banned in every single game by SK Gaming, actually. Because they expected, or they were afraid of Kevin snowballing the game with his teleports, especially down to this bottom lane. So the same ban as SK Gaming did in their games against Millennium, coming in here from Super Hawk Crew.
Well, Fizz, as you mentioned, Mundo also taken away. And this is what we talked about. Focusing on Mimer. So this could put him in a dangerous situation. Zillion taken away. We saw Kerp pulling that one out back in the quarterfinals to not great effect. Maokai finally banned out. Nidalee is available. Let's see if Mimer wants to go for it. As you mentioned, Kassadin also out there for SELFIE. We saw this as the bait they had before.
Yeah.
Kassadin was first picked by Legacy a few games ago.
And was first picked by Super Hawk Crew in the first game against Rocket, where Rocket just went in Lee's Orianna and went for this fast push setup instead. And Kassadin never had a chance to actually scale into late game. He just sat in the lane, he had no wave clear, and just lost his towers left and right. It happened for the team as well, and they were completely outpicked in the game. So not expecting kaSing just yet from Super Ahlström.
Well, there is the cow in that top lane. Or will it be support for kaSing? kaSing did try it, of course. It does give options, and we talked about it. There is Tristana. It seems that Creaton wants to go towards that one alongside kaZix.
Really like that. We get some hyper carries on the board from Creaton from the start.
Get the Rengar kaZix going here.
We could. Oh yeah, Impaler of course loves to play Rengar and is priding himself in the fact he was a better Rengar player than KottenX. So maybe he wants to pull it out now and really show it. But kaZix has really come up as one of the main junglers now in Europe because there's like been changes and nerfs to all the other junglers, and kaZix now with the evolved W started by Diamond actually is very strong because you poke a lot. You don't focus on like just all inning, except for if you get someone low enough, then you jump in with the all in. But you provide some wave clear. You actually very safe. You can even counter jungle because you can jump over walls on the kaZix and just focus on poking from range with the W and then steal the camps. So it's been one of the main jungle picks in Europe the last few weeks here, and of course Tristana for Mr. Creaton. He doesn't want to deal with their mid-game pressure now. Now he just has a very bad mid-game compared to what he has before.
So massive amount of crowd control for the Super Hot crew now as Elise and Morgana also get locked in. So stuns all around right now.
Yeah, and it's just such a good setup when you have Elise and Morgana together because you have this double bind, a double snare you can have, lock down one target. And also because it means you now have a comp which can do multiple things. You can siege up a tower because you have disengage from Morgana, because you have range from Elise, and of course because you can land CC on the tower if people are trying to wave clear. At the same time though, you can also split push again because you have so much disengage from these. You can also play a pick comp now all of a sudden because you have so much single target CC you can land, also of course with the cow in there. So Morgana Elise has just been one of the best combos you can make in terms of jungle and support. And Super Hot crew can be very happy with the pickup here. And of course means it's going to be Alistar top lane and not support.
So at the moment, Nami being hovered over. What will they go with? It's going to be Lulu. That could well be for Kevin in the top lane, I feel. So he has adjusted. We'll see whether it works out okay for him. Could come in lane for Kerp, but I don't see it.
No, I don't really see Kerp playing these utility mid laners. One of the reasons he seems to dislike Orianna as well, for probably the same reason. He wants to be the guy who can really carry, wants to be the guy who can snowball the game. And if it's off a top lane, against Alistar, it should mean Kevin can just push down the lane 24/7, poke from range, and Alistar should never be able to kill a Lulu because you have so many shields, you have your wild growth, and you can just kite him around as well once the knock-up ends. Therefore, the Lulu pick should mean Millennium can apply a lot of pressure in this top lane.
Let's see if that gets locked in or not. Lucian, nope, gonna get switched to Kog'Maw. Will Katarina be picked out here for SELFIE? Could be an interesting one, and more importantly, has MrRalleZ been practicing in the break, and has he adapted and finally switched over to Kog'Maw?
He didn't play it a single time in the quarterfinals. 2 times Super had to ban it, which meant Rocket picked up Maokai as their first pick, and 2 other times he was left open and Silva picked it and just destroyed the Super Hot crew. So I really like the fact that MrRalleZ has adjusted his pick here, and also like the fact that Millennium possibly were baiting out this Orianna.
Yeah, so Katarina was switched to Orianna, still gives them a massive amount of shields, crowd control, heals. This is a very similar team comp to
what Rocket ran.
Run, I think, yeah, what Rocket ran. It's pretty much the same.
It is.
Yeah, it is Rocket's comp.
It is actually Rocket's comp right here. From game one against the Super Hot crew. They figured out that worked pretty well. We didn't know what to do against it. Let's just pick the exact same comp for us. And let's hope they've actually practiced it, because no Rengar now from Impaler. He's on to Elise. He needs to do what Jankos is doing. And when you have the lanes pushing down to the towers, he needs to move between them and get these towers down early, and therefore get the big goal lead. And then, of course, he needs to be careful on the other side, because there's a Talon. And Talon can destroy your AD carry in just a matter of a few seconds, especially once he gets brutalized a last whisper, and it will deal true damage to your AD carry. So Kerp here, as we like to see him on Assassins, need to snowball, but also really opens up for Impaler to say, I'm going to focus this mid lane, because shut down Talon early on, and it's going to be hard for him to do anything.
Well, it's going to be very hard for him to catch on to him, though. Tristana's a slippery little sucker to jump on, and when you've got that much CC around you, as well as the headbutt pulverize coming out all around, we'll see how it works out. More importantly, we're going to see how Mimer works out on Ahlström as the champion. Of course, we saw a lot of last week. Worked very well for Xaxus. A lot of people discussing, of course, the Trinity Force Standard Shift, Frozen Heart. We've also saw Impact, of course, going Rod of Ages, going to the mage side because he had an AD mid. but I expect to see possible Trinity Force coming out here.
I should be, because you have Orianna mid lane, so you already have some magic damage. Therefore, Trinity Force is the first item from Mimer expected.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 underway. This is the 5th place playoff position. Super Hot Crew versus Millennium. And this is an important game for the two teams. Of course, this is a best of 5. We are on 4.13. So all of the changes. Super Hot Crew, well, they have mimicked exactly what Roccat played against them in the quarterfinals game 1.
100% here, and it means Super Hot Crew has an insanely strong team fight comp here. Even the mid game is actually fairly decent for them, and then late game, of course, they will be pretty strong, both with SELFIE and MrRalleZ here. And you have their Elise, you have the Morgana to set up picks to also disengage. And of course, Mimer, who can actually do some split pushing on this Ahlström and then TP in, join the fights. And if you look at on the Kerp side, or for Millennium with Kerp on Talon, you can split push, but against an Ahlström with 70% damage reduction, it's not going to be easy to kill him one-on-one unless Kerp can jump him twice. Otherwise, we actually might see Millennium focus on teamfights themselves once they get to a late game point, because Creaton needs to scale up to the late game.
We'll see how it works out at the moment. No signs of an invade for either team. MrRalleZ looks like he's going to switch lanes, though. You can see the straightaway there. Did they have vision of it? I think they did. I think they saw the lane swap coming.
So this is very, very smart by Super Hot Crew, especially because Tristana and Nami is such a good poke lane early on. You have sustain, you have a lot of damage from Creaton, and of course Jree can even join in because you max your W on Nami, so you have some decent poke as well. So smart enough here by Super Hot Crew to actually go for the lane swap. The only problem could be when actually the lane swap against Roccat, in every single game they played in the quarterfinals, they end up losing out on it because they often they let Mimer like 1v2 the bottom lane, which simply meant he always got denied a lot of farm and he fell very far behind, and then he had 0 impact in the games.
Right, yeah. It's going to be KottenX starting out the blue buff. It's a red buff start for Impaler. Looks like they're going to be running that buddy system, while KottenX is all on his own, because you can see Kevin is actually up soloing out the golems. I think he was just up on the top there, so he will go about. No, he didn't. He just stayed a hell of a long way back and actually protected the red buff. Sims was expecting to maybe invade there. They didn't have any vision of it.
Yeah. Didn't have any wards in the jungle of Super Hot Crew either. We actually saw Jree run in to check the red buff to see, okay, he saw it was gone. He knew now. Super Hot Crew started their own red buff. Don't worry, they're not in our jungle waiting for KottenX to kill him. Because that was a tactic in the quarterfinal used by SK Gaming to heavily invade on KottenX all the time. Kept running into his jungle. Svensson kept going in there with help from his side lanes to try and shut him down, because KottenX is so important for Millennium. They do have strong laners, but he's always the guy who helps really snowball in the lane. He's the guy who really helps getting the kill in the lane they need to take control of the game and get these objectives we always talk about, because Millennium as a team, they have to get kills to get objectives. They don't outsmart the enemy team. So it's going to be a lot about KottenX.
Well, there's a lot of people gathering in this top lane. kaSing taking a fair bit of punishment. Kevin sidestepping just around there. They're looking at the tri-bush. Mimer and Impaler, they're going to walk straight onto Jree. They're going to see them. KottenX just over the side there. Jree does spot them out. Quick ward placements will stop that attack dead in its tracks.
So a lot of people are on his top lane here to help Kevin pick up some farm, while Mimer is still running around the jungle. Now he's going to TP down to this bottom lane. I was about to say he should probably get his ass down there, otherwise he will lose out on a lot of farm. Of course, Creaton is not really able to punish him one-on-one on the tower, so it should be a lot of farm and XP now picked up by Mimer.
So, at the moment, say SELFIE in that mid lane. Super Hot Crew currently farming up fairly well. They're going to keep the pressure going in the mid lane as well. It's interesting to see how this Talon Orianna is going to work out for them, though, because obviously we did see SELFIE pick up Exhaust. It is required for him, while the Ignite, of course. And Talon is an interesting one. I remember speaking to Froggen about this one the other day, and he was just sort of talking about Talon is such a scary hit-and-miss champion to pick.
Yeah, exactly. It's very high risk, high reward. If you do get a few kills early on, you can just destroy the entire game alone, because you can one-shot all these squishies here from the side of Super Hot Crew. And actually the hard part about Exhaust against Talon is he's often popping his ult before he actually joins the fight, so he's in stealth, which means you can't really exhaust him from the very first burst he can do. So you can always jump in, get a lot of damage off, and then you exhaust him for the next round of damage from the Talon. Therefore making it a bit hard to actually shut him down. And another reason why Super Hot Crew really needs to be careful they don't give some early kills over to Kerp here. Because we have seen him in the past take control of the games on these Assassins, but we've also seen him, I wouldn't say lose the game alone, but we have seen him fall very far behind and have zero impact on Assassins too.
I see Kerp trying to keep that pressure on him. He has got a CS lead over SELFIE so far. Top laners, we haven't seen a great deal between them because they've kind of been singled out 2v1 in. KottenX is once again making his way up. This could be a 3v1 pile-on to Kevin in this top lane. He's stuck on that tower. He's going to have the help of KottenX, but you can see kaSing now coming in there. Smites it away there, manages to get in. Impaler tried to set that up. Impaler tried to set it up for kaSing there. He smited away the minion, but Dark Binding didn't get fired by kaSing.
No, I'm not sure why he delayed it, but KottenX and Kevin still staying around. Let's see what kaSing can do now. And there it is.
Does manage to catch on towards him. KottenX is going to get ignited, but it's not enough damage. MrRalleZ was not helping out. And simply put, it does just pull him away, but Kevin's returning. He is not too pressured by this one yet.
But he also really needs to farm, because down his bottom lane, Mimer has been able to just stand at his tower and get so much XP from all the waves. Again, it's going to push into him. He's level 5, Kevin only level 3 at this point, so he's falling behind in XP. He has to stay in the lane, otherwise he's going to be completely gone and completely out of the game, going to be too far behind in levels to do anything. So Mimer here, been doing a good job, and also Millennium not been able to freeze the lane at any point, so Mimer's just been standing down here and picking up all this CS. Yes, okay, he doesn't have too much farm, but it's all about the XP now, all about hitting the level 6 point.
We'll delay them, but it's obviously going to be both of them delayed as well. Pulverized down there as he tramples on over the minions. Here's a good turnaround from Creaton, but he is about to hit 6, so you're not really going to kill that cow on his tower. Kerp heading down south just to get that pink ward down. We'll spot out and clear the vision that the Super Hot crew are in river.
And we have to remember with both these top laners, because they are utility champions, you can fall behind in terms of gold and still be very useful, because you provide either a lot of HP, shields, slows from Lulu, of course, the Whimsy, you have the knock-up engage potential from an Ahlström, and 70% damage reduction. It's not really affected by your gold. It's going to be 70% damage reduction no matter what, which means even an Ahlström can fall behind. However, the issue is that he needs to build Trinity Force if we're going to see him go the same route as Xaxus did on Ahlström. And getting a delayed Trinity Force is not going to be good for him, because it's actually going to mean he won't be able to kill people alone in a one-on-one, and therefore make him a lot weaker and make him focus purely on just team fighting and be like this utility tank instead of actually a damage dealer.
Looks like he's having a great time according to the camera. Both of them look like they're really enjoying this 2v1 situation. I know I was speaking to a lot of top laners.
They all love it.
This is something
they really love it.
They don't enjoy too often. At the moment, though, Creaton doing a good job at holding it off.
Notice here, 2 members from Super Hot down this bottom lane.
We're going to go in there. It's a pulverized headbutt on Jree, sends him into the tower. Of course, no damage was done, so the tower was not hitting him. Impaler catching on towards him. Have they got enough damage? kaSing comes in. They should take him down. It's Impaler with first blood.
Very nice setup here. Jree and Creaton felt very confident they could actually start hitting the tower. And Mimer just saw the opportunity. Instant flash Q, knocked him back into the tower here. And even though there was a flash from Jree, he just got right back into the face of the cow and couldn't actually escape here. So first blood from Super Hot crew. Nice little rotation from the top lane with both Impaler and kaSing to come down here and set up this play here. Now they're probably looking for standard lanes. Feel like they've gotten enough in this lane swap and can start doing normal lanes.
Well, himself is in trouble here. They're pouncing towards him. Kerp's going to jump on towards him, gets the silence down. The exhaust used from SELFIE is not going to be enough. Shockwave does not go off because he died in time. And that was a simple kill for Millennium.
And it's always a little bit strange with SELFIE. He seems to be the player in Europe who always end up being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not sure why. In the quarterfinals as well, he was caught out of position so many times. Right here as well, walking out, KottenX jumps him, he gets the slow in, and Kerp just joins in. Even though there was an exhaust, you see Kerp delaying his ulti and just pick up a kill here. And again, we keep talking about how you cannot give early kills to a talent, because he will be so strong going later into the game. And he's ahead in farm. He has to kill, got a blue buff as well. Kerp is looking pretty strong already.
Oh, we see Impaler's going to try and counter this one. He's already heading straight over towards the blue. Dragon started off, in fact. They know that the smite is down on KottenX, so they're going to try and burn this one down. He needs the help, though, of course. He's just doing it on his own with his little spiders. It is quite possible, but there's not a lot of help coming his way. He's going down half the hit points already. He should be able to take it. He's level 6, remember. And he's going to sneak it out.
This is very smart by Super Hot and kaSing. The reason he doesn't actually run to the Dragon and help Impaler is he want to return to the lane instantly. So Millennium doesn't actually expect Subaru to be doing the Dragon, so they don't have like an estimated timer now. Because they saw kaSing run up into the lane. That's pretty normal to see someone going and deep ward in your jungle and just return instantly. No help on Dragon from kaSing. So Millennium at the moment don't actually know the Dragon has been taken, and that was just also a smart play because the two members from Millennium were at the blue buff. They saw KottenX use the smite and also run towards the top side. So nice little pick up here from Impaler.
Well, we'll see how it works out for him. He's gone for the Fiendish Cone decks actually alongside the Spirit Sight Stone. So SELFIE now coming back into the mid lane. Looks like it's going to be a potential Zhonya's first item for him. Of course, he did go Tear of the Goddess early on Orianna this time around.
So it is actually pretty smart because he needs the mana regen and he can stack it pretty fast. And instead of going Athenes, which gives him no armor, which means it's going to be useless against Kerp, it's actually smart to go Tear and then go into Hourglass. And once he has the Hourglass, he can survive the burst coming in from Kerp, of course. And down to this bottom lane, they swap back to Bergström, so we now have the 2v2 lane, still slightly in favor of Creaton and Jree. Even though Jree is actually only level 5 at this point, and kaSing is level 6.
Mimer's taking a bit of burst damage from Kevin there. Basic attack range over Mimer. Held on to both of their ultimates though, so nobody really going too deep on that one. MrRalleZ just farming out on towards his tower. Had pressured a little bit, but he's just going to clear this wave out and push back in. We just saw Creaton Rocky jumping away, which tells me he is going to go back and buy. And for BF Sword, first item has got a little bit of gold on him. We'll see what he goes with. 900 gold, and we'll go straight to a pickaxe.
Okay, so not actually building Static Shiv as his first item. We see a lot of AD carries, especially in Europe, do pickaxe or BF Sword on your first back, depending on how much gold you have. And then second one, you actually build towards the Static Shiv, get the attack speed, and it's very smart to provide some extra wave clear. But this time around, Creaton feeling like he's getting enough farm in the lane to rush the Infinity Edge and get it as the very first item. And up in his top lane, Kevin really been controlling it on his Lulu, and we also see the reason for the Lulu pick into the Ahlström, because he can bully him a bit in the laning phase.
Well, SELFIE taking a big rake there from Kerp. Darkbind in lands, but still fairly passive in the lane phase at the moment. It's kind of what I expected.
Needs to be careful.
Oh, he's going to walk straight in. Kerp fancies this one, pops the ultimate, gets the damage down, repels away. SELFIE's going to come around. Defensive ball is ready for him, but look at that, the Ignite burning away on him. Has to flash away from this one. Got to be careful. The wave, is that going to catch him? I don't think it will. That's a pretty deep wave coming out from Jree. A little...
yeah, not really sure why Kevin
didn't
actually...
presumptuous maybe there.
Well, I'm not sure why Kevin didn't actually cancel his teleport as soon as Impaler was out of range. Because Mimer canceled his teleport, so it's going to be ready before.
They wanted to go for the Dragon. Again, this is going back to it.
Oh, yeah.
This is what it was. They didn't know the Dragon was there. They invested everything into that. Had no idea the Dragon was there. And like you said, wasted teleport, everything. Everything was gained from Mimer there. Mimer actually was teleporting as well. I just he teleported to the top.
He just canceled the teleport, I believe, and then stayed in this top lane to get some extra farm and push it in. Which, yeah, of course, the Dragon. Millennium was like, let's get a kill, let's get the Dragon, get the goal lead. Impaler said no from before, because he sneaked it on Elise. Something he actually does pretty often when he plays Elise. And we also see a little bit of difference here compared to Legacy Esport, when they play Elise. And they have always built like Ancient Golem, Carbon as your first item. Impaler will always go Spectral Rage. Pretty much all LCS Elise will, to get some early dual power with AP.
Impaler risking it there. Tower goes down, first one of the game for Millennium though. And that was Kerp doing the damage. So, as you mentioned, Millennium have no idea on the timer. They're going to have to keep that warded up on the Dragon. That was taken for Impaler. And Impaler actually on Elise, it was a champion that basically he qualified with. It was one of the strongest champions he played right at the beginning, back in the Dignitas days when he was on Dignitas UK before he moved across to Super Hot Crew.
He was actually known to be a one-trick pony jungler who could only play Elise jungle. So after he played in the first 2 games against SK Gaming in the promotion tournament, and they actually banned it. And remember, of course, SK Gaming managed to win 3 games in a row and actually qualify. One of the reasons was the fact that Impaler didn't get Elise and didn't actually have an impact in any of the games after it was banned.
Talent going looking. Kerp took a cocoon, but still continuing the pressure. Remember, blue buff was stolen away by KottenX on Millennium last time, so they have the timing on this one. And they are looking ready to try and take it once again. Impaler's feet going defensive. Meanwhile, Creaton down the bottom. Black Shield comes out. Creaton has to rocket jump away. No dark binding from kaSing. Could have gone for Soul Shackles and Ignite as well. Probably could have got the kill. But there was a heal for Creaton, so maybe not.
At least maybe they could have traded flashes for your support flash, for the AD carry flash, and then for the next team fight you could focus on trying to kill Creaton. Didn't actually want to be too aggressive. And we do see both teams, except for probably Kerp in this mid lane, be very, very cautious. Don't want to take any chances. Remember, again, if you do lose the game, or if you do lose the best out of 5, you are down to the promotion tournament. So nobody really taking any chances in this game for the first one. I'm sure it's going to speed up for the next few games, where people are like, okay, now we had our first games, the nerves are gone, let's really start playing the game.
Well, Millennium are starting to ward out the jungle of Super Hot Crew, starting to take control of this. Look at Kerp waiting off the side. They want to jump on kaSing, and they may well be able to do it. Looks like he's not going to go fully committed on this one. Not going to flash engage. Super Hot Crew come around defensive, and this is a tricky situation for Super Hot Crew. When that first tower goes down in the mid lane, you have the mid lane, especially on a talent, an assassin, that could roam, could keep pushing, and just keep Super Hot Crew guessing.
I would actually expect Kerp to buy mobility boots soon and start roaming between the lanes. And from what I've seen from his talent in solo queue as well, he loves to build Infinity Edge as his third item. Once he completes that, he's gonna be so insanely strong and can just one-shot everyone. At this point, if he does jump someone like MrRalleZ or kaSing, he should be able to kill them as well.
Well, with the Dragon now spawned, Millennium see it, so timer advantage gone to Super Hot Crew. Of course, vision advantage is very much in favor of Millennium because of this. Blue buff is being picked up by SELFIE. Creaton once again, rocket jumping away. kaSing not even close to landing that dark binding. There was a row of minions in his way. I'm not even sure why he tried to fire it off.
Well, KottenX now clearing the ward here. So Millennium wants to control the river. Kerp was thinking about going down to this bottom lane, decided to actually go back to mid lane. So once again, we are just in for a pretty long laning phase after the standards we normally see. It's been the last few weeks in the LCS, the teams have really started to be more aggressive, especially early game, we see a lot more action. But that's normally also when we have junglers like Jarvan being locked in, or at least Sin, and we have all this early game action from these junglers. Impaler and Elise did have the first gank, he did pick up a kill, but then he's been pretty passive since, and I haven't actually seen KottenX in the game yet.
And again, talking to Froggen about this, like the slowness, as you can tell, I have a lot of conversations.
Yeah, you talk a lot, Froggen.
We do cross a lot of words while we're down the local establishment.
Local pub.
Local pub, basically. Basically, what he was saying is, like, you know, obviously it's the same for a lot of European teams, SK and Alliance especially. It's simply put, they will farm to a certain point. Once they'll hit that item threshold, they go, okay, let's actually finish the game now. Now we're at this point, we know we can finish, and that's the strong point. And that's exactly, if you watch Alliance and SK Gaming do, it's exactly what they do. These teams try to mimic it, doesn't always work out for them. Millennium themselves generally better off with a pick comp, and it's kind of what they've got here this time around again.
And what they have here with Kerp, but also some team fight, with it, because they do have the Lulu top lane. But when you have an assassin like Talon, you will always be some kind of a pick comp.
I just wonder how that's going to transition later in, say, World Tournaments. Simple Dragon for Millennium there, keeps them on the edge in terms of gold. Blue buff, I think it's going to be kept. No, Kerp fancies it actually. I wasn't sure if KottenX wanted to keep it, but Kerp comes in to steal it away. They've given up a lot of damage on that mid lane though, because they can see that duo pairing of SELFIE and kaSing in there, putting the pressure back on him. Impaler just waiting off the side. They fancy a kill here.
Well, Impaler was actually doing Wetekam instead of taking down. And this is where we see a massive difference also between... Oh, Kerp actually going in. Let's see what he can do.
There's going to be the Soul Shackles. He's not going to land. SELFIE caught out by the wave. KottenX puts quick void spikes on towards him. Jree is going to follow. Millennium now, they have positional advantage, and you can see they're going to use this wave. They want to shove straight down the mid lane.
But really, this is where we see the difference between Rocket and Super Hot Crew in the way they play the same comp. Impaler, for whatever reason, went into the jungle of Millennium to kill a Wraith Camp instead of taking the mid tower. And if you look at the way Jankos always plays the Elise for Rocket, it's always full focus on getting the towers down early game with the Elise. You go into the lane, you don't even gank, you walk straight into the lane, you push it up, and you start hitting the tower because you are ranged. Yet Impaler goes into the jungle, takes a Wraith Camp, doesn't even kill the mid tower, even though they've lost their mid tower for like 10 minutes ago, would open up for Super Hot Crew to get some deep wards themselves. So I really have to question the way he's playing this Elise at the moment. It's not as effective as Jankos, and also one of the reasons the game is so passive at the moment, because nobody's actually really pushing these towers.
Well, Trinity Forces completed for Mimer and MrRalleZ. We'll see how that works out for them. Kevin will take down this top turret. It's the second one of the game for Millennium still. Super Hard Crew yet to get one themselves as we see Mimer trampling down the minions. We'll keep our eye on it. Creaton, of course, did go towards that Infinity Edge, as you mentioned. First item in. It looks like Kerp may well be doing the same. He's mentioned that his third item could well be an Infinity Edge. It's what he's been doing in the past. Mimer will get a little bit of free time to push on here. Kevin has yet to back. He's just taking away the golems. Wants a little bit of extra gold.
And still these junglers just been sitting and farming. Not really been looking for ganks, except for now maybe. KottenX down his bottom lane. Fires W, and maybe actually gonna see Millennium do the push now, where they can go in and just get a few hits on the tower. Otherwise, it was a very, very strange decision to run down, get the minions low. Obviously, they might just want Creaton to actually push the wave out so he could go back and to base and just wanted to have like the wave reset. But he only has 700 gold, so it's not like he's going to go back and buy anything. And he took a lot of poke from actually going in and kill the minions. So we just have to say, from the first game, from the first 21 minutes, we do see why these teams did manage to beat Rocket and SK Gaming in the quarterfinals. Just at the moment, with the way they are actually playing, because it is very, very passive. There's no pushing towers, and Kevin was just allowed to sit in the top lane and take the tower. There was no help from Impaler as well to like kind of push him back. Now he's here, but Kevin is, the tower's already gone, so there's no reason for him actually to really move further out. So passive start, and Millennium got 2 towers for it because there's been no response from Super Crew yet.
Well, information given. They know the jungler is now down the bottom half of the map. That gives Impaler and SELFIE free time to quickly get in and get their blue buff. It also means that MrRalleZ is going to step away, and that's going to be the third outer turret of the game. Millennium taking everything in the early stages, even in farm across the board, but all towers now down. Dragon already picked up as well, one apiece. So Millennium finally starting to group here. Impaler's in trouble.
Let's see, Kerp running straight at him. Did actually buy them ability boots we talked about before, so he can now roam between the lanes. I like the pickup for him, as long as he can get some kills.
Turning it around, he's going to have to use his stealth to try and get away from this one. Oh, Kerp, will he get the attack ball? Shockwave, no! He quickly uses a dodge straight on towards Kerp. He puts the exhaust down, flashes out, not enough time. All the jukes in the world are not going to save him there. Aqua Prison catches on Mimer. Mimer with that 70% armor reduction easily tanks out this one. And they will back away. Meanwhile, of course, the bottom turret went down. MrRalleZ and kaSing managed to get the first turret of the game for the Super Hard Crew.
So the roam here from Kerp actually backfired because there were 3 members from Super Hard Crew collapsed onto him. And SELFIE managed to get the shockwave, get the rest of the team to actually kill him, and there was no one from Millennium who could respond in time. And also because Jree was roaming to this mid lane, the bot tower went down. So suddenly Super Hard Crew, because they got a quick kill onto Kerp, because they had the roam, can now take the bottom tower, take the mid tower as well, and get some much needed gold. Because the first few minutes, or the first 20 minutes, has been like watching Super Hard Crew against Rocket, where they just give up every single tower without doing anything.
KottenX is going to be enough to clear out the wave. His sheer presence was enough to stop Mimer, so Mimer's going to back off from this one for now. So 3-2 in turrets, something quick 2 turrets. There's looks like money in the bank as well for Super Hard Crew in that top lane. That equals things up in gold. Dead even between the 2 teams. Farm-wise, fairly close. Kerp is seemingly heading towards that Infinity Edge. You can see the critical crit cloak now in his bag. Meanwhile, it looks like Creaton is finally going to move across the static ship.
So he's actually getting it pretty late here. Another one of the reasons I would like to, see static ship as the first item with just like a pickaxe and a BF sword, because you can farm so much faster, you can push out the waves, and you can also get the jungle camps. And if the enemy team does push up to your towers, you have the extra wave clear now from the static ship. But let's see what's going to happen down this bottom lane. Kerp is sitting ready because there's a big wave pushing up from Super Hard Crew. Was hoping that someone like MrRalleZ would walk up to the juicy minions and then he would just jump him and kill him. Instead, though, we see 5 members from Super Hard Crew on this dragon. We should see our very first team fight now.
It's going to be a fast dragon. You can see they're going to try and take it down quickly. Impaler's in position to smite this one out. The dragon will go before the team fight starts. Or will it? KottenX jumps in, gets the smite. MrRalleZ in trouble. Kerp jumping on him, but he gets pounded in towards him. And that's a quick turnaround. So, mid lane are now down. Kevin taken low. KottenX tries to come in, gets caught out with the down.
So many reasons here.
Pulverize comes out from Mimer. Mimer going to get focused on. KottenX gets 1, pounces in, gets a second, pounces in. Will he get the third? Yes, he will, and just pounces straight out. Oh, and that's a surprise. Gonna live as well. So KottenX gets the steal and a triple kill. Big turnaround for Millennium.
Yeah, and you have resets on Grzegorzewski, you have it on Tristana here. Kerp actually walked around Subaru. We're just going to see it again. Kerp is not part of these 4 members from Millennium. He's behind, jumping MrRalleZ, doing so much damage to both him and kaSing. Meanwhile, the rest of Millennium taking the fight. Everyone from Subaru is kind of panicking at start because their AD carry dropped so low. He's like, oh my god, Kerp is behind us. So everyone kind of backs away and moves over to try and kill Kerp. They do get him down, but it means the rest of Millennium can just clean up now, get the resets. I was looking at Creaton here, completely forgot about KottenX jumping in. He got all the resets and picked up all the kills.
And still gets away. So 3-0-2 KottenX making the difference.
Now we just need to see some more fights, especially with the early kills here now for Millennium. With the Dragon taken as well, they do have the goal lead. Infinity is completed for Kerp here. So now I really want to see Millennium start forcing some fights and just blow up people.
Black Cleaver also picked up by KottenX as well. So expect basically KottenX and Kerp to just be jumping on MrRalleZ. And without a Thresh to help him out there, he is in a dangerous, dangerous position. He could well be singled out and taken down. Millennium now back to bite. Getting a couple of items. Kevin almost got that death cap complete. You can see MrRalleZ also in his bag. A lot of pings going down here. KottenX will wipe out and give the red buff to Kerp. Yep. So he wants to keep the slow on him.
Just creating for 1,000 already, 26 minutes in on the poor red buff. And we also saw in the last fight here, Mimer and Ahlström was like, should I go in alone to the backline of Millennium or should I try and go back and help my AD carry? So you actually end up standing in the middle of the fight and doing nothing. So there was not really any front line from Subaru. It was easy for Millennium to poke everyone down and then actually jump straight to the backline after and finish up everyone and get the kills. Which can be a big issue for Subaru because they have to have the shockwave from SELFIE or the ball from SELFIE on Mimer when he goes in if they want to try and one-shot someone like Creaton. Otherwise, there's nobody who's going to dive the back line other than Mimer here, and he's not going to be able to kill Creaton alone in these fights, especially not with the fact that Kevin is there on the Lulu.
And with the delay, Mimer, of course, had to go towards it. Seems like was he going to go Rundians first? Frozen
Mimer, he's going to go Frozen Heart.
Frozen Heart, but he's not going to go Static Shift, which is kind of what he needs to keep basically Kevin in check, who's about to complete his Rabadon's death cap and will quite easily split push if needed. As you mentioned, the utility that he offers as well could just simply make KottenX or Kerp a gigantic leaping assassin.
Yep, for sure.
And now they're just going to push straight down mid. Super Hot Crew well out of position here.
Just another reason why Millennium should just go be aggressive now and look for the fight. MrRalleZ has no flash, so once Kerp jumps him, he's not going to get away. Like, he has to stay there and take the fight and hope the rest of his team is there to help him and kill Kerp. He's not going to be able to run. So Millennium right now should just look for this fight and look for some towers and go straight for MrRalleZ, one-shot him, or at least force all the cooldowns from Super Hot Crew, and then let Creaton and KottenX once again clean it up with the resets. And man, I really like this Lulu pick against Ahlström as well, because it makes it so hard for Mimer to dive in the team fights, and also the laning phase was heavily in favor of Kevin once they swap back to one-on-one.
Just turn him into a Pix and basically does nothing for a couple of seconds. It is getting a little split push on though, so he will take that tower down. The question is, will they lose this inner turret while they try and pick up that one? He has got teleport available if he's really needed to quickly spring into action. He is going to continue pushing. Kerp is hoping and waiting, and he's going to catch somebody out of the side there. SELFIE is actually playing it wise and going wide around this one. He has got a pink ward. I don't think he can see that. Yes, he cannot. Cannot see Kerp's ward, nor can Kerp actually see the pink ward either. So neither gaining from anything there. Top lane didn't continue pushing. We are going to see Mimer moving down here, so it's going to be 5 members of the Super Hot Crew now. Dark Binding catches on Kevin. No follow-up, but Creaton took a lot of damage. Cocoon follows onto Kevin, but again, Super Hot Crew don't want to risk it, and they are playing very cautiously on their tower.
And again, they only have the cow to really jump in here.
And there he is.
Jree out of position.
Jree out, gets the wave off, but it doesn't really make any impact. We do see KottenX taking some damage. They've got vision on towards him. He's going to pounce away kaSing. Will he fire a blind? No, he will not. He'll just carry on walking behind them. Has he got Moby boots? He has. He should be able to catch on towards him, but a good glitter lance from Kevin will slow everything down. They have got a gigantic wave in the top. If anyone wanted to quickly go up and deal with it, maybe Mimer could quickly teleport up there and try and push him. Instead, they're going to try and follow this wave through and go for an inner turret of their own.
But how on earth did Jree just die here? He has flash. Must have been hit by Cocoon and then binding after. Otherwise, just binding is so easy to dodge around with the flash.
SELFIE forcing the ultimate out of Creaton there.
Kerp died too.
Sorry. Kerp just died.
So every time we don't look at Millennium, they die.
Well, there we go. Now we know the answer of helping Super Hot Crew. Yeah. Just don't watch them.
Don't look at them at all. Just look in the base, and we're just going to see kills, kills, kills for Super Hot Crew here. Let's see the replay. So Kerp jumping in onto MrRalleZ.
Oh, wow.
Remember, he had no flash.
That was over-aggressive.
He's alone.
I don't know what he was thinking there, honestly. That was suicidal.
There's a bit of like, you know...
Dragging up in 3 seconds. Impaler's like, no, it's up, it's up. Nobody's believing him. It's like, no, trust me, it's coming.
Yeah, but look at the Baron here. Millennium instantly moving in because the rest of Super Hot Crew is on the Dragon.
And they have no idea of it, no vision of it.
Mimer coming.
No clue that it's coming. Now Mimer's moving up there. Have they got the damage to take it down quick enough? It doesn't look like it. They're going to have to peel away. And they can see that the Baron was damaged. Super Hot Crew, though, simply the presence of the bull was enough to force them away.
So Super Hot Crew got a few kills, got the Dragon here. Very strange decision from Kerp going in 1v4 and just end up actually giving the Dragon because of it. Him going in to die here. So once again, we're kinda going back a little bit to the passive style. Millennium tried to force something. They wanted to get a bot lane tower. Didn't work out. Jree ended up dying first, even though he had flash and he got hit by Cocoon or binding. From max range, I mean, you have to flash it. Don't even take the chance. Unless, of course, it was Mimer who engaged onto him. We didn't actually get to see it. No matter what, he should have flashed away from it.
At the moment, Impaler and crew all in the mid lane. Let's see if they keep on pushing on this one. They're going to try and sweep out and get some ward coverage over at the Baron area. It will, of course, mean that they should be able to take out all the pink wards there. Except Mimer's just going to... Oh, there he does. He does spot it. No? Yeah, he does finally give it out. So, top lane being shoved in. MrRalleZ is going to push that one through. Are Millennium just going to blanket ignore them and push straight for the mid inhib?
Seems like once again Millennium want to try and siege up a tower, even though Creaton is going to be the main guy to hit it. They can always get a few hits, so in that case it works out because they have Kevin as well with some range auto attacks. Let's see what's SELFIE here. Oh, Kerp just going to run away.
Oh, Kerp caught out. Shockwave, exhaust will get taken down. It's going to be Impaler that picks up the kill on him. They could keep chasing on this one. Millennium backing off once again. Will they take this opportunity with a 40-second death timer to rush straight for Baron?
So you had this perfect start on your Talon. He got early killed. He had Infinity Edge completed at 26 minutes into the game. And then what you've been doing for the last 10 minutes is basically run around, get caught. Both Jree and Kerp now twice, die, give Super Hot Crew the advantage all of a sudden, let them farm up even more, let them get to a late game point as well, where MrRalleZ and SELFIE can really start to carry the game. So, very, very strange play by Millennium.
Yeah.
Now they want a base race.
Gonna push in there, they will manage to get some damage on this one, but they can't really tank that one through. Kevin, don't know what he was thinking there.
They didn't have any minions.
Yeah, got no minions. Guys, we can tank it. No, we can't. We can't. It's not gonna work out for us. So it does delay his Super Hot Crew though. Oh, well, that's a great dart binding catching on towards Jree. Is they going to get follow through here? They're going to keep the pressure on. He can just follow him through. You can see MrRalleZ coming around. If they can land another dart binding, it's going to be coming off cooldown. Forces the flash from Jree. They're going to continue pursuing on this one. kaSing going deep on this one. Will follow on through. Will he be able to land a third binding? Oh, if it had stepped to the side, Creaton was there instead. It's just going to force them out of position. And they are back to clearing the waves.
All right, so while it did look a little bit funny, Millennium running down to the tower, 4 members, it did actually make Super Hot Crew instantly recall from the top lane. So while there were 5 members and Kerp was dead, they didn't actually manage to take a Baron or push a tower. So in that case, a small win for Millennium. But I can definitely see what Carbon was talking about with the more passive approach we normally see, or sometimes see here in Europe. The last few weeks, we actually have seen a lot of aggressive games in Europe, but this one definitely goes into the passive book. And
still very even though.
Yeah, very even, but very different compared to the...
100 gold difference, 1 killer difference. It's everything still stacked up right now moving into the... As we approach the 40th minute soon enough. Remember, we had a 67-minute Super Hot Crew game against Roccat. Could they go that distance? I'm not too sure. There's a lot of explosiveness in between these teams, and Millennium, if they can catch on to someone, they can get kills, that's for sure, but the control that Super Hot Crew seem to have in these team fights is causing them some serious problems.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of armor stacking from Super Hot Crew going into the late game, where Kevin is the only magic damage, which is gonna make it even harder for Millennium to take someone down. And they don't really have a tank either, because KottenX is building full damage. He's gonna build some tank now, but it's not gonna help him just have like one tank item, which means in the late game team fights with all the shields from Super Hot Crew, with the ulti from Mimer and all the armor they can build, it's gonna be hard to do anything, and they're going in.
Headbutt pulverized, goes in towards Kevin and just destroys him. Impaler's gonna repel, he's gonna still survive from this one. Well, he's gonna drop down, is he gonna be alive? He survives as well, gets out of there. Creaton, quick pulverize from Mimer, brings him back in. Kerp goes deep on this one, way too deep. And SELFIE gets the defensiveness down. And Super Hot Crew with a shockwave, flashed out of both Creaton as well. KottenX is gonna avoid this one. So it's a 2 for 0 so far, and the Super Hot Crew this time, they fancy backing off again. Why?
Still though, their aggression here from Mimer. As soon as Millennium showed himself at the tower, he just flash queued, knocked back Kevin, killed him. Kerp once again tried to jump into the back line. Instantly, 5 members from Super Hot Crew just collapsed onto him, kill him. And a bit of a split decision also from Kerp. First he wanted to kill Impaler, then he went for MrRalleZ and didn't actually end up killing any of them. And he's gone from being the 1-0 great start to actually die 5 times in a row now.
Well, we talked about nerves earlier on, the fact that you've just got 2 kills, you've got 2-0, you've got a choice of any lane, maybe a Baron, who knows. 5 members alive, a healer, lots of shields. Let's go back to base, guys. Let's just play it safe.
You need farm. You don't have time to go Baron, mate. You have to go farm.
Apparently so. Kevin is doing a good job farming, honestly. He's out farming the cow.
They were a little bit low. Could have maybe been risky, but they should have definitely taken the top tower, in my
Definitely
opinion.
could have pushed and taken at least something, maybe on towards the inhibitors, because Millennium, they had 3 members that were surviving, did take that top tower, but we can see, of course, a 2-man potential Baron coming out here. Darkbinder does not land the KottenX. SELFIE, Mimer, and kaSing all trying to run interference on this one. Instead, Impaler goes for it. KottenX is going to have to use that stealth, but he gets caught out with a cocoon. Drops away. Shockwave pulls him straight back, and that is the jungler down for Millennium.
Kerp is here, though. Once again, he's behind Super Hot Crew. He wants a piece of MrRalleZ. Nice, juicy Danish beef. Now, though, he's not been able to get it. Well, can't touch it.
Creaton is going to have the range, or is he? He's going to have to come back around the side there. Jree winding up the wave. He manages to land an Aqua Prism, but it's on Mimer. Does next to no damage, Creaton, on the cow right now. His bovine hide is enough to keep him away. Takes a little bit of punishment. The ball backs into their face. Remember, Shockwave is down, not available, but that Baron is dropped, and the Super Hot Crew get themselves that secured.
And this has basically been Super Hot Crew in the start being very passive and lose a lot of towers, fall behind in gold, gave the kill also to Kerp. But then as soon as if we do ignore the very first team, but let's just see it again here, onto KottenX. It's going to be all about the shockwave from SELFIE coming in to actually stop him in midair, and also the knock up from Mimer. So KottenX tried to jump away, completely denied, and then back onto the Baron here. But if we just ignore the very first Dragon fight, which went in favor of Millennium, ever since, it's just been Millennium being caught out of position again and again and again. Fall behind, and now Super Hot Crew is running. 5 members all the time. No split pushing here. You don't need it. You can just run 5 members, keep looking for picks with their Ahlström, with their Elise and Morgana combo, and they've been finding them.
I think Impaler's just had a pause to say, guys, did you just see what I did there? I repelled and cocooned him while he was stealth.
Repel and cocoon. Well
like, I did that. I got the Baron and the Dragon for my team. I just wanted to pause it and take a moment.
And he's more
to celebrate.
To now.
Yeah, Sue, did you see this? Did you see this?
Impressing the girl.
He's like, yeah, I saw it. I saw it. It's amazing. Well done, Impaler. So, quick gather across the items. Baron buff now on Super Hot Crew. It's going to have around about 3.5 minutes because they've just went and took the Dragon down. So, they have the kill advantage. They have the tower advantage. They have the gold advantage. Can they push through and finish? Because it seems for Millennium, they've left this lane phase. They took all the 3 outer towers. They were 3-0 up in towers, but they seem basically lost because there is no one to pick off for Super Hot Crew. They're moving around as a group.
And also just every single time Super Hot Crew seems to fire a skill shot towards Millennium, they catch someone and either force a flash from them or actually straight up kill them. And then they take Dragon, and then they can move on to take a tower and get all the gold they need. And now also they got so much armor. I mean, look here, both Impaler and Mimer getting a lot of armor, making it even harder now for the 3 physical damage members from Millennium to actually kill anyone. And you do have an Ahlström, so Super Hot Crew can push up to a tower and just dive straight onto Millennium if they want to. We saw them do it in the top lane. They can do it here. They have the lead, push straight up, put the ball on this Ahlström, let him jump into the back line of Super Hot Crew, pop the shockwave, the back line of Millennium, pop the shockwave and become the hero.
Well, speaking of Ahlström, has been involved in 100% of the fight so far. 9 assists on Mimer so far. And of course, Mimer, you know, there was a lot of pressure on him. He was in the losing situation in this match last time, pulling out the fantastic Jree.
It didn't even work in scrims. Didn't even work. But that was actually...
Can we just show the world what your face was like when Jree was picked?
I actually started crying. I was a bit like, fine, Jree it is.
Jree.
And then we lost.
And then you lost.
It wasn't actually Mimer's fault. He played pretty well. It was just Jree at that point, unless you were called. So
he was obviously ahead of his time, because Jree now is a legit pick in that lane. Nonetheless, we are back in the game. Super Hot Crew have resumed, and Millennium are behind. What will they do with this Baron? They're going to have around about 3 minutes. They're all going back to base, spending their well-earned gold, and we do see Spirit Visages coming out. Frost Queen has been upgraded as well. Impaler going for a Frozen Heart, so tankiness coming out of him. Infinity Edge also picked up by MrRalleZ, so lots of damage and tankiness suddenly stacking out. Their team fighting ability will be very strong coming into this next game. And thinking of Creaton, the damage he was trying to put down on Mimer barely touched him in that Baron pit.
Yeah, for like the 6 seconds we have the ulti running for Mimer. There is pretty much no reason to hit him, but often, sorry, the 7 seconds, you often just don't have a choice because he's going to be right in your face. So it's really where Super Hot Crew has a lot of time to kill whatever member from Millennium actually jumping in. It's also one of the reasons Kerp has just been jumping in kind of alone, and they could just collapse on him because Mimer was taking all the damage anyway. And in that case, it's been working out in their later stages of the team fights. But it's still just more about Millennium being caught out of position again and again and again, and give up the entire lead they had.
You could also argue that Kerp's gone a little bit too deep.
Maybe just a little bit. Then again, MrRalleZ is a very good-looking guy, so I don't blame him for jumping towards him. I would have
tasty target, but honestly,
he is a tasty target.
As a talent,
he's a bit skinny though.
This is the problem with the talent. And honestly, against the team comp that is running right now, you're going to go in there and you 100% are going to get crowd controlled. There's no doubt about it. You need to try and pick off a juicy target, but there's no one doing the long-range poke, the long-range damage to get those juicy targets. Instead, they're just going to push through. Millennium are going to have to give up this tower. You can see they're already backing away.
It definitely makes it harder for Kerp, but I honestly feel KottenX needs to just jump in with him and
commit
2-3 members at once. Maybe even see someone like Creaton go full aggressive, jump past Mimer if he can, because these targets will drop so low once all the burst comes from Kerp. But it's of course, it's never anything you want to do as an AD carry, jump into the middle of the team fight. You want to get a kill first, or you want to kill the front line first. So it makes it very hard for Creaton in these team fights.
It worked for Holy Phoenix. That's all I'm saying.
It did sometimes. He also ended up dying a few times.
He did, but he also got the pentakill, so that's what counts. We'll see whether anyone from Millennium can do the same. I know, right? So this tower's going to go down. Millennium, they have to give up on this one. I mean, they're up against the Baron up team that's beaten them in the last 2 team fights already, so not too sure what they were hoping to achieve. They're just trying to poke down, do anything, but the regen is too strong. SELFIE, will he put himself out of position while this is all happening? Mimer, he's working through that mid lane. He's putting the pressure down. SELFIE's just going to rotate across, and now he'll start hammering down on that mid turret, which is already going to drop. And Millennium losing 2 inhibitor turrets with this one Baron. Oh, Cocoon lands on KottenX, followed by JTC with that Dark Binding. He will just be able to leap out in between the timer, but that's going to be the first inhib down. Second one, also just to the right-hand side, is free. Creaton caught out, taken very, very low. Jree caught out. Now he Dark Binding, pulverize on towards him, trample through there, but he doesn't manage to get the damage down. They don't get the kill. KottenX trying to get the reset in, but the Dark Binding will catch on. He will be the first man to fall for Millennium. Now we see Kerp going in, gets one, does not get the other though, but he manages to take down the cow of all things. Super Hot Crew, they may back out of this one.
But we just see the thing we just talked about before, Super Hot Crew can just walk straight into the base and look for the fight. So Millennium were forced to back away from their own tower, give it up, give up the inhibitors, and potentially even the game right here.
Whoa! Flash shockwave from SELFIE. Flashy moves indeed. Takes down Jree. That could be the game, and Super Hot Crew are going to go through in this best of 5. Creaton, the damage on him is huge. Super Hot Crew take the game. They are 1-0 up in the series.
So a bit of a shaky start from the Super Hot Crew. Reminded me a lot about the Rocket game where they gave up all the outer turrets very early on and didn't really seem to have any response until they managed to get a pick, got some towers themselves, did then lose a dragon fight, But from there on out, it was just all about Millennium being caught out of position, lose the entire lead. Kerp tried to 1v5 a few times. It might work in solo queue, but against a team who's playing so safe and so coordinated like SuperHardCrew did in the team fights, it's not gonna work.
No, fantastic stuff. So, it took them a while to get going, no doubt about it.
That's safe to say.
4,000 gold lead for Millennium as well, we should not forget, in that game. So they managed to turn that game around very well with a couple of well-earned team fights and a little bit of suicidal play from Kerp, diving in on 4 members, no problem.
Just a little bit, but it was, again, the idea behind the comp from SuperHardCrew was like, okay, we're really strong in team fights, just get the needed items, get some armor, get especially the Hourglass and SELFIE, then we can start looking for team fights. So while it was passive, and it's not too passive in my opinion, it was too easy for Millennium to get these towers down. Impaler had no impact in the early game. But as soon as they had the items they want, got the team fights we talked about where they had a very strong comp and just picked up the kills they needed. So it worked out for SuperHardCrew. Need to be careful though, because in the next game, if they do fall behind 4,000 gold again, and Millennium decides not to be caught out and decides to actually engage as a team, they might end up just losing the game.
So where do we see Millennium going in this position? You've been there, 1-0 down. Do you think, do we change things up?
We won the first game.
He did win the first game, and then
we just lost.
Okay then, so you've not been there.
No, we were like,
but just put yourself in that position.
Yeah.
If you are 1-0 down, do you change things up? Do you stick to your theory? Because clearly coming into this game, obviously they've had a plan. The game plan was to get something secretive like Talon going, but it hasn't worked.
No, so honestly, with Millennium's comp here, the way they played it in the start, the first 20 minutes, I wouldn't actually change anything in that case because it worked out. You got the lead, Kerp looked strong in the mid lane, Kevin was bullying Mimer up in the top lane, one-on-one after they swapped back here. So in that case, it worked out for Millennium. It was just, I don't know if it was nerves, it was just losing focus. That was the reason they lost. They kept trying to like 1v5 or get caught out again. So it's not necessarily your strategy, because it's never your strategy to say, let's get caught out. I mean, it's not. So in that case, they probably don't have to change a lot, but they might still look at some of the picks here from SuperHardCrew and say, okay, the Orianna in the mid lane was annoying to deal with there. In the team fights, maybe we want to take it away, or what they want to target. I mean, there's no reason to go for the jungle picks at the moment.
So what about SuperHardCrew? They stole Rockat's tactic and it worked well for them.
It worked well in team fights.
Yes.
Still issues in the early game, so they have some stuff to talk about. Both teams, their comps worked at different times in the game. They had some good moments, they had some bad moments. So in that case, they could probably stick to the same comps and just try and fix the issues and see who does the best and fastest.
And of course, this is a best of 5, ladies and gentlemen. It's still the 5th place position. The loser of this best of 5 will go down to relegation. Of course, there's a number of teams that they can choose from when they get down there. They will have the first pick. But SK Prime, H2K, and the Unicorns of Love all looked very good in the Challenger Series playoffs.
And the only team who looked to be just like, I mean, you can say they were pretty close in terms of the skill level, except for H2K probably being the best team. But then you have Unicorns of Love and SK Prime, both looking very good, and I'm not sure who to choose.
No, I wouldn't know who to choose either. So let's send things over to Shox and the analytics desk to break down that last game.
Thank you very much, D-Man. I'm Aoife Shock supporter here with Trevor Quickshot Henry and the Copenhagen Wolves. As Youngbuck has joined us for some analysis. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, well, if we take a look at the first game in the picks and bans, Youngbuck, it's an adaptation coming in as we look at the beginning of the playoffs coming in that were both Millennium and the SuperHardCrew. What did you think of the comps?
I think that SuperHardCrew got all the strong champions in almost every lane, and as a result, Millennium tried to pick champions that beat them in lane. However, SuperHardCrew just countered it very easily by lane swapping.
Yeah, I also think the early game, Millennium just really weren't aggressive enough in my mind with the champion picks. One thing I do want to highlight, SuperHardCrew ran the exact same composition that Rocket ran to beat them in game 1 of their series, including a first blood pickup by the jungler of Impaler. So he was even channeling his inner Yankos in that matchup.
Yeah, very good adaptation coming out of them there. And then even though it was a slow game, it was Millennium that managed to come out ahead in that initial phase.
Yeah, I think Millennium, they had a small advantage. I actually just want to pull a replay up onto your screen right now, and I'd like to ask Youngbuck for his opinion on how the teleports actually impact this dragon fight. 24 minutes in, gold is even, towers are nearly even, kills are nearly very close. Let's roll this clip out, and Youngbuck, talk me through the team fight from your opinion. What went right, what went wrong?
I think the SuperHardCrew shouldn't have gone for the dragon. They should have looked for a pick with the Elise Morgana combination, just try to lock someone down and force cooldowns, force someone to base and then do Dragon. However, they got a bit greedy for the Drake and just started it too early. And that's where Kerp actually caught the backline of Super Hot Crew and they just went to town on them.
Yeah, had those evolved wings, kept hop, skipping and jumping through. That was the theory. If Kerp was able to get the damage down, you could have Tristan and kaSing's clean up. But from there on out, it just never happened.
Yeah, kaSing decided to go full damage, and then we had the Talon, of course. Maybe a questionable pick, but it did work out in the beginning. But I feel like Kerp felt like, I have this one kill, I should in theory be able to roam around and kill some people, but it ended up in him jumping in and maybe swinging the game.
Yeah, I actually want to ask your opinion on the Talon, because I wasn't convinced by the pick. I felt Kerp didn't play aggressively enough when he had the power spike. Would you throw a Talon in the mid if you were playing on the stage for a potential spot?
I personally wouldn't have picked it, especially if you're going for a Lulu Kha'Zix combination. You have two champions that are really good at keeping your opponent at distance, so I was expecting something along the lines of Xerath or even Ziggs.
All right, let's actually take a look at a team fight that occurred a little further in the game that brought it back in Super Hot Crew's favor. Let's get that up on the screen where they jump in again.
Yeah, so from this point, Super Hot Crew have already stamped control in the game. Millennium have been caught out a couple of times. If you just roll this clip out, I like the engage from Mimer, but the problem is Millennium's composition. You see Kerp, he still hasn't used his ultimate, he's trying to look for something to do, but he's got no one to jump onto, and unfortunately, when he does dive onto 4 members of Super Hot Crew, he just gets instantly blown up. I really don't think Millennium's comp scaled very well, and like Youngbuck said a few moments ago, Super Hot Crew got all of the strong picks on this patch.
All right, then let me ask you guys this. Going into game 2, obviously the Talon may be different. Is there a different approach they should go for? But obviously going in for that pick-up against something they love to do so much, Trevor.
So in my mind, I think Super Hot Crew have the ability to play more. I think they're a more diverse team. They can play pick, they can play split push, they can play team fight. Millennium, I feel, are a little bit more of a one-style pony. So for Millennium, it's just about getting the picks that works with their style, that are relevant. Because Talon fits with his style, but I don't think he's relevant in this patch.
Joey, any advice for Millennium in this one?
I'm hoping to see Millennium pick up stronger champions this time and not pick just for the lane, but pick for the overall strength of the champion.
All right, we'll see what they will do. We need to step away for a moment, but we'll be right back for game 2 between Millennium and the Super Hot Crew. Stick around.
Clap to win, clap to win, clap to win.
They're going to get focused on. KottenX gets one, pounces in, gets a second, pounces in. Will he get the third? Yes, he will. Quick pulverize from Mimer, brings him back in. Kerp goes deep on this one. Way too deep.
Give it up, give up the inhibitors, and potentially even the game right here.
Whoa! Flat shockwave from SELFIE.